And we're going to go ahead and welcome here in a minute another one of those guests that will be joining us, Patricia Peters, who is a talented gymnast, actress, and stunt performer. She is renowned for her work in the film industry, particularly as a stunt double for high-profile actresses, including Michelle Pfeiffer, who she doubled and stunted for in two separate films. Her background in gymnastics provided a strong foundation for her career in stunts, and it's been noted that her athletic prowess and dedication to her craft quickly made her a sought-after stunt performer in Hollywood. Um, she is perhaps best known, as I mentioned, for her work with Michelle in Batman Returns and What Lies Beneath. So let's go ahead and welcome in Tricia Peters, who will be here tonight and with us in Medina this coming Saturday. Tricia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting. I'm happy to be
here. It is for us as well, because we've all seen your movies. Whether we knew that you were in them or not was another story. But as we come to find out that there are stunt doubles and the different characters portrayed, the Demon Lady and the Army of Darkness, which we've all seen that as well. And I remember seeing that several times when I was in college. But
yeah.
People don't know that they are watching you on film, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it feels like the best of both worlds because, like, I don't have to worry walking down the street, like some actors do. Some of them, Michelle, man, she has to be careful sometimes, but I don't have to worry about that. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, getting to perform and do all these characters, and then also having privacy when you want it.
How was the camaraderie working with Michelle in those movies?
Michelle, she's so great. She's a little more reserved than some of the actresses. She keeps to herself a little more. She's supportive, definitely. She's so talented. But actually, it's been about 5 films that I've worked with her on. Also, we did One Fine Day, Up Close and Personal. I did I Am Sam to Jillian on her 37th birthday. That's a long one. So yeah, I got to do quite a few with her. Even a few more, I think. But she is so talented. When we trained with a whip trainer as Catwoman, we both trained with Anthony DeLongis, who's an amazing trainer. And he got her to be able to take a cigarette out of your mouth with a 10-foot bullwhip. So she did. I also trained and learned these things, but boy, she did so well. So she was excellent. But one of my favorite parts about that film for me was working with Christopher Walken. And there's a part where she becomes Catwoman because she gets pushed out of the window. And so he was the one that had to push me out the window. And I've never had this too much where, every actor has their way of acting. And he asked to meet me earlier in the day. And sometimes on films, they'll get very leave the actors away. Nobody come in here, stay away from them. And he had asked for me, and I didn't know this. And someone came up and said, have you met Christopher? And I said, no. And later someone came up and said, oh, have you met Christopher? And I said, why does everyone keep asking me that? I said, well, he asked to meet you. And I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea why. So then I was brought into the set during the scene where he's intimidating and scaring Michelle when she plays Selena Kyle. And he's intimidating her and scaring her. And every time they cut, every time they stop the scene, he'd turn and stare at me, just, intently. He can be very intense. And then they'd do their scene and then they'd say cut and then he'd stare at me. And I was getting should I be in here? It was so funny, but I think that was his way of this is this is the character and this is the character. Cause we were both playing the same thing. We're both bringing the character to life. And I was the one that he had to physically push through the window. So I had to talk with him and get him comfortable with how he was going to do it. I'm like, okay, I got pads and stuff. You could just go for it. So it's kind of a good story. I like that one.
Yeah. So we talked about this briefly, this card that you are on, that people don't know that you're on this card. And in the Topps Batman Returns set. It's card 45. I have one of my own here.
Me too.
Do you remember this scene particularly?
Very much, yeah, actually. So prior to that, the reason why there's supposed to be flames is, I guess it was her that blew up Max Shrek's department store or something. We tumble out and we stand there, and then the building blows up. And then right after that, you see me escaping, or Catwoman escaping, climbing up the girder, and that was, I guess, the escape. But the explosion prior to that was really gnarly. Like they're like, okay, you stand here and here's a camera, and everybody runs out of the whole sound stage, and they're like, don't move. And there wasn't a whole lot of like, how long do you need to stay there? Because once that explosion went off, those flames came right towards me. At least the heat did. And that Catwoman suit was about 0.02 of an inch thick. So it was like taking a balloon that you blow up and stretching it tight over your skin. Like I could see the hairs on my arms through that cat suit. It was a very thin rubber. And we didn't know if it would like melt to my skin. I ended up having some blisters on my back after that explosion. But luckily not too many. I had as much of my back covered as I could, but I did get blistered from it. And then the next scene is my escape is climbing up this. There's multiple other cards, I think. The Penguin catches me, and I'm like hanging by like his helicopter, umbrella copter thing. And that I think is also one of these cards.
Yeah. And the Penguin is Danny DeVito, right?
Yes. One of my favorite people in the entire business. I did War of the Roses with him as well, doubling Kathleen Turner, and he's precious. He's amazing.
He is. I mean, I've never met him, but I love his movies, and absolutely some of them are hysterical.
Yeah. He just has a gift for making everyone feel like you are the only one here and the most important person, and he wants to know all about you. So he's amazing. But yeah. So there should be several other cards from that as well. And I think there's some other things like back in the day when this was going on, I have hanging from my car a little Catwoman. I guess I don't know if it's supposed to be on a whip, but she's a little plastic Catwoman. I have it hanging in my car. I think it was from a McDonald's. Good old McDonald's. We did a Pepsi, Diet Pepsi commercial or something in the characters. I think this is like from my old headshot, and it has here we are. I think they used it for like a Diet Coke or something ad. I think it was Diet Coke. So they used me and the other double, Mike Cassidy, who doubled Michael Keaton. So we did a lot of different stuff still as those characters.
That's very cool. And Greenie, we were going to show this one as well, since there will be another card to add to that for this weekend as part of that set.
You guys made this one, right?
Yeah, our designer Daniel made that. Yep, and it's got a front and a back, and there's another version that'll say certified autograph on it, and we'll have you sign them. And it's something cool, and things that we try to be unique at our shows. And with cool. Us being involved in trading cards, we thought this would be a great souvenir for people to have from this show.
I would love it. That sounds really cool. I try more now to have pictures, but
people want to see the back, they have to come out to the show and grab a card. Greenie mentioned Army of Darkness a little bit earlier too. I have such nostalgia for that as well. I had my senior year of college, which wasn't that long ago, just a couple years ago. He would play that movie constantly. It was on repeat. And then he got to walking around the house yelling at people in any situation. You want some? Have some. And I just had forgotten about that until you crossed our radar again and brought back a lot of great memories. We had a great conversation last week with Alan Robinson. Greenie mentioned had played Ghostface, of course, a Hall of Fame stunt person. he had some really terrific insight as far as the expectations for a stunt double and a stunt actor. Sort of a two-part question, taking us through how you really got started in this business, what that first break might have looked like, and then your approach to directors' asks and requests. And they have a vision for the scene, but sometimes, as Alan told us, the responsibility is to make sure everybody's safe first and foremost, and then you have to execute it. So talk us through that first break and then your approach to stunting.
All right. So where I grew up in California, the original Muscle Beach was in Santa Monica, and that's where a lot of old acrobat and stunt people and a lot of people started back there back in those days. So I have friends that stunt doubled people like Alan Ladd and Gene Kelly, like the old black and white, you know. And so I kind of grew up under some of these people. They were filming, someone was filming a B movie down at the beach. And that was my life. This beach had rings and bars and things to swing on. And I was just there whenever possible. And they taped off my rings and I wanted to play on them. I want to swing on my rings. And they had some like girls in bikinis trying to do an obstacle course and none of them could do it. And these were, I was like a monkey. I was swinging from ring to ring and they were like, put that girl in a bikini and let's just use her. And that was probably one of my first. And I had, but that one was like some low budget, like I didn't even have a Social Security card at the time. But I have also a lot of stunt friends and acrobats and people like Bob Yerkes who ended up training me in like high falls and trapeze and all this stuff. And they needed some girl that looked like a girl in a bikini to do a flip at the beach. And they were filming the movie Dragnet '87 based on the old black and white TV show. And I'm totally blanking. This also had one of the ones that Alan was doubling, Tom Hanks.
Hanks. I think Dan Aykroyd might have been
Dan Aykroyd, who's the two of them are just amazing. And so it was a car chase scene where they're chasing the big bad guy and they're driving along the beach. People are diving out of the way and they end up going up onto a lifeguard tower. And I'm like the bimbo girl, I guess, sitting on the lifeguard's lap. And when he jumps, I fly. And so they needed someone who could do a backflip off the lifeguard tower into the sand, you know. And I was like, I can do that. My friends, can you do that? Yeah. So come on down. And I didn't even have a license. I rode my bicycle down to the beach and like did that, you know. And to me, that was just play. I did that every day playing at the beach. So when someone wanted to give me money to do it, I was like, yeah, that sounds like that sounds like fun, you know. And then someone's like, now you can get your SAG card. And I'm like, what's that? You know, I wasn't even trying to get into it, but sure enough, I kept getting calls from different people. I had a friend print up a resume. Someone else, you know, we just sent some out to some of the stunt people I knew because they did that. And sure, I'd get another call. I worked on the doors. I worked on something else. And they were like, maybe I should pursue this. Cause you know, they just came to me. I didn't really, I wasn't a real aggressive person. So if I had to go after it, it probably wouldn't have happened. So it was kind of neat. So Dragnet was the first one for me that got me in the door. And then the other question you had was, tell me again.
Your approach to stunt work,
yes.
Navigating that line between vision and safety of the picture.
Yeah. So, directors usually have a vision that they want to have done. And, you know, we have our set skills. So usually the stunt coordinator is kind of the go-between. He's usually the one that, if he's a really good, first of all, he's going to try to get exactly what the director wants to see. If not, you know, obviously tweak it to where it's possible. And then he talks to you and what your abilities are. And sometimes there's tons of prep work. You know, we're prepping a car to go off a jump and float and go in the water, or they help get things built that you need as a prop, you know. So they're the ones that are try to make it safe for you. Like that in that card that you showed me, you know, as I'm climbing up, obviously I'm not climbing a girder with 6-inch heels. So they had me in a cable. Well, I wanted to make sure it was safe. I said, well, do you see the ground in this scene? No, I said I want a crash pad in there because if something goes wrong with the cable, I'm going to fall to the ground in 6-inch heels. I don't want to bust my ankles. So if you don't see the floor, I want a pad down there just in case. And I've seen a lot of people when things just like, oh, someone didn't do something right and you get hurt. So I'm always trying to watch my back because the goal is to keep on working and to do as many jobs as possible. And always, you don't always want to just be tough and I'm a stunt person, I can do this. I'm like, no, I don't want to get injured. If I can do as much as possible, that's the goal.
Yeah, and you have done quite a few, and I was reading through some of your credits and some of the movies, and some of them are favorite movies that I've seen over and over again and never knew you were in, like Face Off. Like that movie is one of my favorite movies with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, and I saw that you played a part in that, and working with those two guys, I mean, John Travolta from, everybody knows John Travolta and his credits and things, but like he was missing for a while and then came back and started doing these movies that just have taken off. And how was it working with those guys?
Oh my gosh. I mean, they're such professionals, and not all my scenes were too close with them. I was doubling, you have to forgive me, I'm in a space. I'm so sorry. The daughter, the teenage daughter, I doubled 2 different actresses in that scene. So I definitely had some stuff in that. And it was fun to see them, just being around the set when they're doing their shootouts and stuff everywhere and trying to be each other and stuff. It's pretty fascinating when they switch characters and stuff like that to be in that and part of that. But they're definite amazing professionals to work with.
Coming off the Cleveland Gaming Classic and heading towards our pop culture event in Medina, I read, I believe, that your work has not just been limited to live action films and TV, but you've done some motion capture as well for video games.
Actually, I have. I don't even remember if it was considered motion capture. I've done several different video games. Oh my God, I'm going to go blank on them. There's some that we filmed literally just like a movie, and we'd film all these different options. And like, I think it was called there was a movie, Double Dragon, that was based on video games that we did, that I doubled an actress on. But then the other one was called, I'm going to forget the name. You'll have to forgive me.
There's so many credits. It all runs together. After
35 years worth. It's just after a while, I was like, what was that one called? We would film it like a movie, and I'd walk into a room and then leave a room, or walk into a room and fall through a trap door and walk out another, do something else. And the person playing the game would get to choose where they wanted me to go. And it was a fun character because that particular one, I got to like actually look into the camera and growl and do stuff where all the other characters, they never acknowledged the camera. They never acknowledged the person. So I became someone they wanted to get. I'm like, oh, I got to get this person because, they're egging me on. I'll think it'll come to me in a minute, but that was kind of fun. But yeah, we've done several different video game types. I didn't do the capture, the new stuff. It was the old style.
So a lot of these scenes, the sports part and the gymnastics background and the adrenaline has got to kick in. Has there ever been a scene where you were like, I don't know if I can do this, but you ended up doing it?
Probably, actually one of the, for me, gnarlier ones for me was as Catwoman. I did a 40-foot high fall into the back of a moving dump truck. And on that show, I was one of those shows I really had to watch my back a lot on. And they really wanted to see the landing. Usually when you do a high fall, camera's looking up and you see someone fall, and then there's another take looking down of them either landing on the ground or whatever they land in. They wanted to see the whole fall into the moving dump truck. And from 40 feet up, a 7x14 dump truck, it looks like a postage stamp. looks really small. And usually you have an airbag. And so this was a truck with metal edges and boxes inside. And then they filled the top with vermiculite to look like kitty litter, because where else does a cat fall except kitty litter? And you know, we did practice doing on our way. You don't just jump off the top, you know, you start low with like one of those cherry pickers and slowly work your way up and get the timing right. But we took a couple of days to practice that one. But that was pretty hairy, because that's like, you miss that one. It's not like just a boo-boo. You know, I had a lot of like gnarly guardian angels on that film. Like as Catwoman, I fell through the roof of a greenhouse. I think when we get loose from the helicopter, we break free, and there's a lot of falling in that movie. And I fell into the roof of the greenhouse and onto a table full of plants. And then the glass is candy glass in that one. And then the sheets of the glass were falling. Luckily, when I landed in the table and it crushed, I was laying inside and the glass fell like this. So I was like inside. It was like a little coffin. They're like, move the glass, and there's my little face inside. But I had, you know, and when Christopher Walken pushes me out the window, and I fell onto mats on that scene at first, and some of that glass was coming right at me. And I just, you know, I think guardian angels grabbed my hands and covered my face, because I didn't see it coming at me, but it hit the back of the hands and not my eyes, thank goodness.
You used multiple cat lives on that film, it sounds like.
So many. You know, it was fun though, when she gets pushed out the window in the movie, they laid me on the ground and all the cats come in and they start licking and chewing on me all over. They're like, let us know if they bite too hard.
Do you have any advice for aspiring and up and coming stunt men or women based on your experience? And what if you could talk to them about longevity and having a career, what's that piece of advice you wish you could go back and give yourself?
I'd say, you know, you really have to listen to yourself. You know, there's a lot of people that might want to push you or tell you you can't do it. You really got to listen to yourself and what you feel safe with. But like Alan said before, you don't necessarily just say no, but they're like, okay, how can we find a way to make this work? Because you always want to make it work. And learn as many things as you can, from martial arts to tumbling to riding a horse or a motorcycle or taking driving courses and stuff, and learn how to do your reverse 180s and sliding 90s. It's a lot of fun. But and acting classes, because, you know, a lot of people want someone who can do both. Specifically on Army of Darkness, almost everybody in that film were stunt people, tons of them. He just used stunt people to play a lot of acting roles. And so Raimi, he also did the Spider-Man 2 that I worked on. So it was cool to run into him a few times.
When you did Batman, did Michael Keaton ever come up and does he walk around and just say, I'm Batman, like all the time?
You know, I don't think he did. At least not in front of me.
Now.
He did. Yeah, now he's livid. And actually, I did 3 different Batman movies. That was the one I doubled Michelle, but I also did Batman. That was Batman Returns. I did Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. So I did a lot of those. I got to see all different Batmans.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that was Val Kilmer and was it George Clooney in one of those? Okay.
Yeah, and Val Kilmer. And it was Tommy Lee Jones was Two-Face in one. So I remember getting a conversation with him. Yeah, he was really cool.
So this weekend, we're going to have you out in Medina at the Medina County Collectors Fair. And we have six actors that'll be there. And we understand this is your first of this kind, whether it's a con or a show. And what you're going to find, and this is going to be great, and you'll love doing this, the people that didn't know who you were and they come up to you, and just the amount of questions that people ask. And you know, without doing a show like this before, I'm sure people have had conversations with you, and there have been fans that know that and things like that. It has to be a little bit of a thrill that people do know that you played these pretty important and iconic characters that we've all watched.
Yeah, you know what? I've always, starting with stunts, more than a lot of acting. And especially in early days in stunts, it was play it down, low key, do your job, go home, you don't exist. And, hopefully we're trying to get out from under that. We love the Fall Guy movie. We're the only people in the entire entertainment business that has no Academy Awards, no Oscars. They haven't acknowledged us yet. Luckily nowadays with cell phones, even the stars themselves walk around filming behind the scenes and you're like, hey, here's my double. Like they're starting to go, we do exist. We do a lot. If you took out every stunt person, there'd be like this many movies happening, but I forgot where I was going with that one, but I am looking forward to it. And I have had to, talk about, my past, and I get to do it a little more now because it's really fun to reminisce, and I don't have to like hide it and pretend like I don't exist anymore.
Yeah, not everybody could be Tom Cruise, right? He does his stunts, and that's
Some of them.
What's that?
Most of them, but not all.
Oh,
That's
breaking news.
No, Jackie Chan is probably better than any stuntman that ever lived, and he has a stunt double because they get hurt.
That's right.
Movies cost money, and no one wants to put their money into something that they're going to risk it all if someone gets hurt. The movie's over. Now, Tom might have the ability to do absolutely everything, but it's not in the getting everything done in time in the movie's best interest to have him do everything. One time when I was doubling Michelle, I had to ride a bike, and she was like, what, they think I can't ride a bike? I'm like, she could ride a bike, but they need to get her ready for the next close-up scene, and then I'll be riding down the road facing the other way. So it's a shopping list of shots, and we're all there to make the character come alive.
Well, that's really important. You're right. People don't realize that while those characters have to get their makeup and they have to get all done up for the other scenes, the time that it saves by having a double is very important, and that's probably what a lot of the movie producers and the people behind the scenes that pay the bills say, let's move this along.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They can get ready, relight the whole shot for the next thing, finish up with this one, second unit, whatever. It helps them get things done, and so, but I am excited about this Medina fair coming up because I like to make people smile, and if it makes people excited that they get to learn more and see someone who worked on their favorite movie, it makes me feel good.
It is with the pop culture society and the people that collect these items. There will be no shortage of things that come across your table that people want to get signed, and it'll be all different movies. Wow. It won't just be Batman. I'm sure there will be a lot of Army of Darkness and the Demon Lady and pictures and posters, and I'll have to look. I have to imagine the Demon Lady has a Funko Pop, but I'm not exactly sure.
I haven't seen many Catwoman ones either. Like when I look around, I haven't hunted down online or anything, right, but in the stores.
Well, I promise if they're out there, they'll be there. So people love that kind of things, and getting them signed and framed, and I'm sure there'll be movie posters, and I'm sure at some point you've signed a few things like that. But it'll be fun, and it'll be pretty interesting what you may see at this show.
Can't wait to find out. Sounds like a big surprise.
So we've touched on a number of films and those iconic roles, and working with actors and actresses. You mentioned Spider-Man 2. There's Blood Money, The Brave. I saw a credit for Big Top Pee-wee. There's other television credits like Matlock and Jake and the Fat Man. Are there roles maybe we haven't talked about that sort of stick out in your experience that are just some of the fondest memories you have in the business?
Oh, probably one of the most fun ones was George of the Jungle with Brendan Fraser. Just being able to swing on vines and ride elephants, and all that kind of stuff was just so much fun. Leslie Mann's adorable. And it was fun. We got to go to Hawaii. We just climbing trees. Like, I've always been the monkey. So for me, it was like a really fun experience. And then another one that I don't know if it is as well known is called Legion. And I think there was a bunch of movies with that name. So I'm trying to remember which year it was. But I mean, this one had like Corey Feldman in it, and it had Parker Stevens in it. And I got to play a co-starring role with them in it. It had Richmond Arquette in it. And it was, to me, it was like a ripoff of the Aliens movies where, you know, everyone kind of one by one gets picked off. It was kind of like that kind of thing, but it was definitely a lot of fun to work on that one. And anything with Danny DeVito, because I love him. Oh, you know what was fun too for me was Me, Myself, and Irene with Jim Carrey. Love working with him. And Renee Zellweger is just a doll. We got to do a lot of fun stuff working on that one.
Yeah, I even saw Con Air was one, and I don't know what you played in that movie, but you know, Monica Potter, who's from Cleveland, was in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you know that's kind of a favorite around here as well.
Con Air, yeah. I think it was in Vegas. I think the zipline coming down and it hits the sign off the 50s, the Hard Rock Cafe sign, I think it was. It was small stuff for me on that one. We had people underneath, so with debris all falling, we're just kind of running and scattering.
You mentioned Hawaii from Georgia the Jungle. Where has acting taken you? Like some of the cool places? Yeah,
besides Hawaii, I did some, I guess you can call it modeling, but Levi's commercials. We got to go to Morocco, and that was really neat. You know, I'm not much of a model, I'd say, but when you have physical abilities, like I've done photo shoots as a model where you're like, can you hang like sideways on a pole in an evening gown? I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. I call them like stupid party tricks, but like they're like crazy circus, you know, things that I've been able to do for a long time. And let's see where else. I've definitely been in Mexico and Canada, but I haven't gone to too many other countries. Japan, excuse me. Got to do a commercial in Japan. I always thought it was funny because a friend of mine and I were both these blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls, and they fly us to Japan to do some trapeze work. And they dress us up like black hair, everything to make us look Japanese. And I'm like, you couldn't find anyone in the country that already looked like that, because we didn't do any of the biggest, hardest tricks, you know. It's like, you might have saved yourself a lot of money. But I'm so happy to go to Japan, so
sure,
I wouldn't turn it down.
Sure. Well, again, yeah, we look forward to this, and so we back to the Batman card. The one thing that we are going to do with you is we're going to open packs of those Batman cards, and we're going to try to find your cards there. Okay. So we'll have to find some of the other ones, you know, that you're on in the card. You know, we know the one, card 45. That's
45. Okay.
Yep, that's card 45. But the other ones, yeah, we're going to have to go. Yeah, I guess there's 60 cards in there, but we'll find some, and that'll be pretty fun.
Okay. I had found 3 when I from like a bubblegum or something. It was obviously a long time ago when I found them, but so I have like 3, so I know there's at least that many. But
we're not going to chew the bubblegum. We're not going to do that.
Actually, I think there's one of me actually when Christopher Walken pushes me out the window. So you see a window breaking and a body coming through it. I think there's a card of that as well. So hopefully you'll find a bunch.
Well, we'll be looking. There's packs, so we'll do that, and I'm sure there'll be other people there, and we'll give away some cards, and it'll be a fun, something different that we don't normally get to do with people that actually have their own cards.
Yeah, I've never opened packs of cards, and I love the one you made. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. So, so it'll be this Saturday and Sunday, the 28th and 29th, the Medina County Collectors Fair. So, yeah, we look forward to that, and we really appreciate, you know, the time that you spent with us tonight, and the stories that you told us. And I mean, it's not every day that we get a chance to hear some of these things that people get to do.
Oh, that's been my pleasure. I look forward to meeting you guys in person, and I hope everybody comes on out and checks out this awesome fair.
That sounds great. You'll be there Saturday and Sunday at the Medina County Collectors Fair at the Medina County Fairgrounds at the community center there. About 150 tables plus at this point, and of course a number of other fellow actors and stunt people from Hollywood will be there. It's going to be a great time. So, as Greenie said, Tricia, thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to see you this weekend.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to see you guys.
Got it. See you then.